About 60 years ago, almost 100 Hamadryas baboons were wrenched from their arid homelands in north-central Africa and plunked down on a small island at the London Zoo. Now, this experiment was designed to advance our knowledge of baboon societies and, by extension, all non-human primate societies. Unfortunately, it only served to advance our ignorance. It set up a myth that still enjoys a lingering popularity. From the choice of site to the makeup of the Zoo Island's baboon population, the scientists of that time did everything wrong. And yet, they smugly concluded that all the old world monkey societies lived in rigid social structures where vicious and warlike males ran harems of frightened and slavish females. Well, today we know that that is absolute nonsense. The social structure of primates are as varied as our own. All that was proven at the London Zoo was that animals placed in unnatural circumstances tend to behave unnaturally, just like people. Like all the natural sciences, the study of non-human primates has come a long way in a short time. Today, scientists do most of their studying right in the middle of the natural environment. They're killing the scientific myths, replacing them daily with scientific knowledge, and providing a lot of wonderful surprises. It's not the nicest neighborhood in East Central Africa, but it suits the simple needs of Hamadryas baboons. Brown-coated females cluster around their gray-mantled male masters. A mother nurses her month-old infant, while a slightly older and friskier youngster decides to play games with her sisters and brothers. Family ties are very close. Hamadryas families tend to keep to themselves. But today, that habit will be broken. The whole troop will scramble down for corn. They'll feed together in the interests of science. Normally, the troop splits up each morning. Families go off on their own to feed. But the promise of an easy meal draws all the families into one small area. This male's harem is a female short. Ah, there she is. Hamadryas males rarely fight each other, but overcrowding increases tensions. The tension surfaces in their facial expressions: eye blinking, lip smacking, yawns. Suddenly, violence erupts. Dr. Hans Krummer is the interested observer. He designed the corn experiment. It confirms that social structures break down in conditions of overcrowding. Males warn off potential rivals. They display ownership of their females. The ownership gestures are acknowledged. Peace breaks out once more. One male and his harem move away from the thinning crowd. He's ready to be groomed now. It's a master's privilege. The baboons resume their neighborly ways. Dr. Krummer's years of study convinced him that males totally dominated Hamadryas society, and he invented experiments to prove it. Her name is Nina. His name is Paris. Nina belonged to another Hamadryas troop. Now Paris has decided she belongs to him. He appears ready to follow him anywhere. Hamadryas females are conditioned to obey their masters, and Paris has appointed himself her master. The other males look, but they won't touch. The female belongs to whichever male gets there first. But Paris is losing patience with Nina. He can't understand that she can't follow him. So he reacts just the way Dr. Krummer expected. He runs at the caged female and bites her on the neck. She tries to appease him with grooming gestures. Paris stalks off again. His other females are impatient to go foraging. However, Nina's disobedience is just too much for Paris to take. Now he's really ticked off. He bites her neck and back through the mesh of the cage. Normally, this is an offer no female can refuse. Now the others are going off to feed, and Paris reluctantly decides to rejoin them. But he'll be back. The longer Paris ignores his harem, the greater his chances of losing it. And Nina's not going anywhere. As dawn touches the Hamadryas sleeping cliffs, Paris is already on the prowl. Other baboons are slow risers, but he has business down below. He's already waiting when Nina arrives. A quick paint job will make Nina stand out. Paris paces impatiently. His impatience is about to be rewarded, if everything unfolds as it should. Paris just plays a waiting game now. And sure enough, Nina comes to him. She doesn't require any more training. Wherever Paris goes from now on, Nina will be close behind. He mounts her, sealing their relationship. Now it's time to rejoin the others. Paris wraps Nina in his arms. That's another way of saying that she is his. She begins to groom him. That's her way of saying that she is his. More than 100 miles to the west of the hostile Hamadryas cliffs, the Ethiopian countryside turns pleasant and much more gentle. The baboons who live here are more gentle too. They're closely related to the Hamadryas, but the social structure is a world apart. These are Anumbis baboons. Anumbis males are much bigger than Hamadryas males, but they're definitely not in charge. In fact, Anumbis females pick and choose their mates. But one of them is destined to be uprooted from this world and way of life. The next male she encounters will be a tyrant. She's headed for Hamadryas country. Until very recently, all baboons were judged by the actions of the Hamadryas tribe, and that was a serious mistake based on the offhand experiment at the London Zoo in the 20s. Now, the fact is the Hamadryas society and the Hamadryas lifestyle is unique among baboons. Of all the baboon societies in Africa, only the Hamadryas is organized into family groups. And among all monkeys, only the Hamadryas baboon appears to maintain a true harem system. But a true harem requires complete domination by the male and complete submission by the female. Only the Hamadryas society meets that definition, based on current knowledge. Now, how did things turn out that way? That's what Dr. Krummer set out to discover. Could a Hamadryas male actually force a female into his harem against her will, particularly a female from a free society? There was only one way to find out. Try it and see what happens. The Anumbis female has a role to play in the scientific scheme of things. Her future lies to the east, in the harsh world of the Hamadryas. She leaves a pretty nice life behind her. Anumbis society is a study in sexual equality. And despite the old scientific myths, it's much more typical of primate societies than that of the male-ruled Hamadryas. Morning descends on the Hamadryas cliffs. A family drops down to grub for insects in the bottomlands. The male's temper flares at a lagging young mother, and as usual, he nips her into line. The Anumbis female is backpacked into Hamadryas country. This young male is most eager to make her acquaintance. He doesn't even have one female yet. Dr. Krummer named him Ajax. The female's name is Nora. The two species do interbreed naturally, and they share a common body language. When Nora presents, Ajax sniffs. And when Ajax yawns, she knows that means he's very interested in her. Ajax may be inexperienced, but he knows she's supposed to follow him. Okay, no more Mr. Nice Guy. Nora is not cooperating. Ajax stalks off. But now it's the baboon's mealtime, and Ajax abandons Nora for the moment. What he couldn't do today, he'll try again tomorrow. But when Ajax returns, something strange is going on. Nora is getting a paint job. Dr. Krummer now arranges Nora's release. Ajax can't understand this part. Why is she running away? She's not supposed to do that. He shouldn't have to be chasing after her. She should be following him. But Nora never learned to submit to males. Her only thought is to escape this strange and persistent baboon. However, she's used to climbing trees, not cliffs. Ajax closes in. Nora takes the only way out. Ajax is relentless in his pursuit. Finally, Nora quits the race. He thinks she's begun to see things his way. This is how it's supposed to be. As Ajax returns to the cliff tops, he seems to be short his only female. No, she was just keeping her distance. Now Ajax has to show the others that this female belongs to him. He even grooms her. But if the relationship does succeed, she'll end up doing most of the grooming. By mid-afternoon, the relationship has soured. Nora still has escape in mind. Ajax appears to have lost something or someone. Maybe she's joined the others. He goes to check it out. But Nora hasn't joined the others. For a tyrant, Ajax isn't getting very much respect. Nora sees him coming, and she decides to get going. Now, in her element, she presents. He sniffs. And then, strangely, he leaves her alone. It's as if Nora is making the rules and Ajax is going along. But his uncharacteristic patience is beginning to pay off. On the next feeding junket, Ajax leads, and Nora follows. She's more sure-handed on the cliffs now, too. But if Ajax thinks he's finally in charge, he has another thing coming. Now he's really mad. He's going to teach her Hamadryas ways in no uncertain terms. Dr. Krummer's experiment is over. Nora accepts her mate and grooms him. She's learned to live among these strangers. She's adjusted to their ways. Ajax is her master now, even when she takes the lead. It's not the life she was born to, but it seems to be a life she can live with in the new wilderness. Almost all we know about the fierce world of the Hamadryas baboons is the result of field studies by Dr. Hans Krummer. He spent 17 years in the Hamadryas territory in Ethiopia and would have stayed longer if a revolution hadn't intervened. But just because Krummer is the authority on Hamadryas baboons does not mean that his conclusions have gone unquestioned. The major criticism of Krummer and his work is that he interpreted Hamadryas society from a traditional and narrow male viewpoint. He's accused, in fact, of identifying with the dominant males of the Hamadryas and ignoring the possibility that the females may not be as powerless as they seem. Now, this is scientific criticism, but it's also political. Primate studies that stress male dominance have long been used to justify male supremacy in our own human societies. Women are now eminent in the field of primatology, and they're successfully challenging that myth. There's another problem. I'm sure that while you watched this show, most of you felt real sympathy for the little Anumbis female, a gentle creature turned over to savages. And most of you probably asked yourselves the question, by what moral right do we manipulate the lives of our fellow creatures in that way? Is the information we receive really worth the pain and suffering we inflict? These are questions that cannot be left to scientists alone. They are questions we all must begin to answer in the new wilderness.